California is burning, it's a sight becoming all too familiar. Wildfires rage across the landscape, leaving devastation in their wake. Homes are reduced to ash, families are displaced, ecosystems are forever altered. These aren't isolated incidents, they are part of a growing trend. We must understand why these fires are happening with such intensity and frequency. The answers lie in a complex interplay of natural forces and human actions. California's climate is a key factor contributing to its wildfire vulnerability. The state's unique geographical features and weather patterns play a significant role in this. The state experiences a Mediterranean climate characterized by hot, dry summers and mild, wet winters. This distinct seasonal variation means that while the winters bring much-needed moisture, the summers are relentlessly dry. This pattern creates a perfect storm for wildfires. The dry conditions during summer months make the landscape highly susceptible to fires, which can start and spread with alarming speed. Vegetation flourishes during the wet season, only to become tinder-dry fuel during the long, arid summer months. The lush greenery of spring and early summer transforms into a brittle, dry landscape by late summer. A single spark, whether from lightning or human activity, can ignite a conflagration in these parched conditions. Human activities such as campfires, discarded cigarettes, and even power lines can be potential ignition sources. The dry season is particularly dangerous. With each passing day without rain, the risk of wildfire increases exponentially. Months without significant rainfall transform the landscape. Rivers and streams dry up, and the soil becomes parched, creating an environment where even the smallest spark can lead to disaster. Grasses and shrubs become highly flammable. These plants, which may have been lush and green just a few months earlier, now act as kindling for potential fires. Trees, stressed by lack of moisture, become more susceptible to fire. The prolonged dry conditions weaken the trees, making them more likely to catch fire and burn intensely. This creates a tinderbox-like environment where fires can easily ignite and spread rapidly. Firefighters face immense challenges in such conditions, as the fires can move quickly and unpredictably, threatening lives and property. The Santa Ana winds are another critical element in California's fire equation. These winds are infamous for their strength and dryness, playing a pivotal role in the state's wildfire dynamics. These powerful, dry winds originate in the Great Basin and Mojave Desert. They are formed when high-pressure air masses build up over the deserts, creating a pressure gradient that drives the winds towards the coast. They sweep westward towards the Pacific Ocean, gaining speed as they are channeled through mountain passes. The narrow mountain corridors act like wind tunnels, accelerating the winds to sometimes hurricane-force speeds. The Santa Ana winds have a devastating impact on wildfires. Their ferocity can turn a small, manageable fire into a raging inferno in a matter of minutes. As they blow across the land, they dry out vegetation even further, making it more combustible. The already parched landscape becomes a tinderbox, ready to ignite at the slightest spark. Their high speeds can carry embers for miles, igniting new fires far from the original source. This phenomenon, known as spotting, can lead to multiple fires starting simultaneously, overwhelming firefighting resources. The combination of dry vegetation, low humidity, and fierce winds creates the perfect conditions for explosive fire growth. The low humidity further desiccates the vegetation, while the fierce winds fan the flames, spreading the fire rapidly. These wind-driven fires are notoriously difficult to control, often outrunning even the most valiant firefighting efforts. Firefighters face an uphill battle as they contend with unpredictable wind shifts and rapidly changing fire behavior. The Santa Ana winds, with their relentless force, continue to be a formidable adversary in the fight against wildfires in California. While natural factors play a significant role, human activities are increasingly responsible for igniting and exacerbating California's wildfires. One major culprit is urbanization. As populations grow, people are moving further into what was once wildland. This creates what's known as the wildland-urban interface, where homes and communities are nestled within fire-prone areas. Another human factor is the aging infrastructure of utility companies. Power lines, especially in remote areas, can spark fires if they malfunction or are downed by strong winds. Negligence in maintaining this infrastructure has led to some of the state's most destructive wildfires. Accidental ignitions from campfires, discarded cigarettes, and even fireworks also contribute to the problem. Section 5. Climate change. fueling the firestorm. Wildfires have always been a part of California's natural landscape, but in recent years their frequency and intensity have reached unprecedented levels. Climate change acts as a powerful accelerant, intensifying the factors that contribute to California's wildfires. The combination of higher temperatures, prolonged droughts, and changing precipitation patterns creates a perfect storm for these devastating events. Rising global temperatures lead to hotter, drier conditions, extending the fire season and increasing the flammability of vegetation. This means that areas which were once safe from wildfires are now at risk, and the traditional fire season is becoming a year-round threat. Climate change also disrupts precipitation patterns, making droughts more frequent and severe. This lack of moisture weakens trees and plants, making them more susceptible to catching fire. The dry conditions also mean that when fires do start, they spread more quickly and burn more intensely. These changes create a vicious cycle, where a hotter, drier climate fuels more intense wildfires, which in turn release more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, further exacerbating climate change. The smoke and ash from these fires also contribute to air pollution, affecting the health of millions of people. The consequences are already being felt. Communities are being displaced, homes and businesses are being destroyed, and the economic impact is staggering. Insurance costs are rising, and the cost of rebuilding is putting a strain on local and state resources. Wildfires are burning larger and hotter than ever before. The sheer scale of these fires is overwhelming, making it difficult for firefighting crews to contain them. The intense heat generated by these fires can create their own weather systems, further complicating efforts to control them. They're also lasting longer, stretching the resources of firefighting crews thin. Firefighters are working longer hours under increasingly dangerous conditions, and the physical and mental toll on these brave individuals is immense. The increasing frequency and intensity of these fires threaten lives, property, and the health of California's ecosystems. Wildlife is being displaced and entire habitats are being destroyed. The long-term impact on biodiversity and the environment is profound, and the road to recovery will be long and challenging. Section 6. The suppression paradox, a growing threat. For decades, the approach to wildfires was aggressive suppression. While well-intentioned, this strategy has inadvertently created a new set of problems. By suppressing naturally occurring fires, we've allowed an unnatural buildup of fuel on the forest floor. This accumulation of dead trees, branches, and other flammable material creates a ticking time bomb. When fires do ignite in these fuel-laden forests, they burn with unprecedented intensity and ferocity. The suppression paradox highlights the need for a more nuanced approach to wildfire management. We need to find a balance between suppressing dangerous fires and allowing fire to play its natural role in the ecosystem. Section 7. Fighting fire with fire-controlled burns. One promising solution is the use of controlled burns, also known as prescribed burns. This technique involves intentionally setting small, controlled fires under specific weather conditions to reduce fuel loads in forests. While it may seem counterintuitive, controlled burns can help prevent larger, more destructive wildfires. By reducing the amount of flammable material, controlled burns lower the intensity and severity of future fires, making them easier to manage. Section 8. Building resilience infrastructure and beyond. In addition to controlled burns, we need to adapt to the reality of wildfire risks. This includes creating more fire-resistant communities through stricter building codes and defensible space measures. Homeowners can take steps to reduce their risk by clearing vegetation around their homes and using fire-resistant materials. Upgrading utility infrastructure is another crucial step. This includes burying power lines, using fire-resistant poles, and implementing better vegetation management practices around power lines. These measures can significantly reduce the risk of utility-caused wildfires. Section 9. A global call to action, protecting our future. The wildfire crisis in California is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet. Climate change, driven by global greenhouse gas emissions, is exacerbating wildfires not only in California but also in other fire-prone regions around the world. Addressing this global challenge requires a collective effort. We must reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and transition to cleaner sources of energy. We need to invest in sustainable land management practices, such as reforestation and wildfire risk reduction measures. By working together, we can create a more resilient and sustainable future for generations to come.